So, welcome to a joint press conference of Vice Chancellor and Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, Robert Habeck, and the chair of the Asia Pacific Committee of the German Business, and also co-chair of the Asia Pacific Conference, and also CEO of Siemens. The minister would start with some remarks, then Mr. Bush will follow, and then we are willing to take your questions. Just raise your hands. Okay, Minister.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and it's a great honor to announce the 18th APK, Asia Pacific Conference of the German business community, this time in New Delhi and in India. You see that number 18 tells a story. Since long time, Germany, the German business community, the German governments looked to this specific region and developed a close partnership with many countries in these regions. So this is not a new start, but looking back and looking forward has completely different angles. This conference couldn't be more timely. We are living in a world that is changing in tremendous speed and not always for the better. We see that the globalized world where open markets and trade, where the dominant history of the world are fragmented by the day. You see local content rules and you see tariffs resin, so the possibility by creating wealth, doing trade becomes a little bit lesser every day. We, with this conference, are giving a countersign. We believe that this region, the Indo-Pacific region and Europe, and in Europe, Germany, can work together and will work together very, very closely. 800 delegates are coming and visiting the conference. We have a couple of bilaterals. We have the states of India, the heads of states of India and Germany, Olaf Scholz and President Modi, there showing that this is not only a business conference, but a sign of tremendous political importance is going out from this gathering. I'd like to thank in person Roland Busch, but all the ones who worked for the success for this APK, and especially I'd like to thank the Indian government and the Indian business partners, and especially my good friend and partner, Mr. Minister Piyush Goyal, for the support making this conference happen. I'm looking forward. I think this is going to be 3 very, very successful days here in New Delhi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome to the evening before the 18th Asia Pacific Conference starts. And let me echo what you just said. A great thank you for co-hosting this conference, but also to the government, Minister Goyal and the team for doing this and for making a great preparation for a great event which we are looking for. Why is it so important? The Asia Pacific region by 2050 will summarize up to 50% of global GDP. Approximately 60% of the people of the global population will live in the Asia-Pacific region. By the way, it's a source for talent we are looking for as well. And it's about 50% of the global emissions, CO2 emissions, which will happen in the Asia-Pacific region. So that means the importance of that region is tremendous. Making a drill down into the Indian market, we talk about a GDP growing by 6, 7, 8% for the next years to come. A massive investment in the last years in infrastructure. For example, India electrified rails, approximately 12,000 kilometers, which is half the electrified rail network of Germany. But they did it in 5 years. And there are many more examples. There's more and more manufacturing attracted in India. We talk semiconductors, pharmaceutical chemicals, but also any kind of green technology. And again, high-tech manufacturing, which is important also for German business and German technology. So therefore, there are huge potentials. We are definitely, from the industry side, from the business side, looking forward to a free trade agreement with India. There's a long discussion ongoing, and I believe we should treat it as what it is. It's a trade agreement, after all.
So thank you very much. And so we would have some time for questions, and the first question would be Mrs. Kurz for the German television. Do we have a microphone?
Hello, Julie Kurz from German broadcaster ARD. Excuse me, I have to ask this question in German, as I would love to have an answer in German. Mr. Habeck, können Sie noch einmal sagen, welche Bedeutung für die deutsche Wirtschaft Indien hat? Sie sprechen ja gerne von Diversifizierung. Und dann noch eine zweite Frage. Sie haben ja heute mit dem Energieminister gesprochen. Ging es da auch um die Problematik der Kohlekraftwerke?
So, I switch over to German for the German television. Die APK, die Asia Pacific Conference, ist von besonderer Bedeutung für Deutschland insgesamt, weil der Raum, der südostasiatische Raum, für sich selbst genommen schon für den stärkst wachsenden Wirtschaftsraum im Moment steht. Nun kommt in dieser Zeit, in der wir leben, noch hinzu, dass Europa und vor allem Deutschland in Europa seine Handelsbeziehungen breiter aufstellen muss. Wir haben gesehen, dass gerade im Bereich von Risikotechnologie, von kritischen Rohstoffen oder Mineralien, von all den Dingen, die wir brauchen, damit unsere Gesellschaft funktioniert, eine Abhängigkeit herausfordernd und manchmal auch gefährlich werden kann. Wir wissen, dass wir diese Abhängigkeiten haben. Sie sind gewachsen in einer Zeit, als wir alle davon ausgehen konnten, dass Handel immer aus offenen Märkten heraus und Regierungen sich aus politischen Gründen fernhalten vom Handel heraus gestehen kann. Diese Sicherheit haben wir jetzt nicht mehr. Spätestens für Deutschland seit dem Angriffskrieg Russlands auf die Ukraine wissen wir, dass Energie zum Beispiel als Waffe eingesetzt werden kann. Und wenn wir in andere Sektoren reinschauen, sehen wir, dass wir dort eine Verletzlichkeit haben entstehen lassen. Wir wollen weiter mit China Handel treiben. Das ist auch gar nicht anders möglich. Zu groß ist unsere Verbundenheit und unsere Verflechtung der Volkswirtschaft. Aber wir müssen sehen, dass wir nicht nur mit China Handel treiben. Und diese Asia-Pacific Conference ist die Plattform, noch einmal vertieft ins Gespräch zu kommen mit den Regierungen der verschiedenen Staaten, aber auch die Wirtschaft mit der Wirtschaft oder die Wirtschaft mit den Regierungen. Sie bündelt sozusagen die Anstrengungen der letzten Jahre, der letzten Jahrzehnte, aber jetzt auch der letzten 2 Jahre noch einmal neu, aber wird sicherlich auch in die Zukunft neu ausstrahlen. Ich habe heute dann, wie es jetzt die nächsten 3 Tage dauernd passieren wird, angefangen mit den Ministerkollegen der verschiedenen Länder zu sprechen, heute mit dem indischen Energieminister. Und Indien ist ein Land mit einer wachsenden Bevölkerung und einem wachsenden Wohlstand. Das heißt logischerweise, der Energiebedarf Indiens wird steigen. Wer wollte den Menschen verwehren, ein Wohlstandsniveau zumindest anzustreben, das für uns ganz selbstverständlich ist. Indien gleichzeitig bekennt sich zu dem Klimaschutz, hat einen enormen Zubau an erneuerbaren Energien und muss jetzt sehen, dass es die sehr hohe Kohlebasis, die es hat, also im Moment ist Kohle wirklich der Hauptstromerzeuger in Indien, kombiniert mit dem Zubau an erneuerbaren Energien. Und darüber haben wir intensiv gesprochen. Kohlekraftwerke sind per se nicht die flexibelsten Kraftwerke, also schwankende Stromerzeugung wie Wind und Solar passen nicht automatisch gut zu Kohlekraftwerken, können aber passend gemacht werden. Indien hat sich auf den Weg gebracht. Deutschland will gerne helfen. Wir haben ja eigene Erfahrungen. Auch wir haben ja noch Kohlekraft in unserem Strommix, wenn auch weniger werdend. Und darüber haben wir intensiv gesprochen.
Thank you. A question to you both. Could you explain why the still outstanding EU-India trade deal is so important and what the main obstacles are and how they should be solved, in your opinion?
I mean, we talked about the importance of the Indian market, and it's growing very fast. Currently, it's still a factor of roughly 5 apart from China, but the growth rates are high, and India will overtake also Germany in the ranking of the largest GDP economies as we go. At the same time, if this country would develop the same path as the mature countries, also concerning the footprint per head count, it would be a disaster. So therefore technology, bringing technology to the country and joining forces, accelerating green development, but any kind of technology is important. At the same time, India is adding 14 million people to the labor market each year. So this requires jobs to be a job demand locally, which can be fulfilled by local manufacturing, which in turn also pays into resilience. So there are a couple of elements coming together. Hence, the smooth trade between these two countries is of highest importance, and will really stimulate this kind of growth to support India developing further in a sustainable way. And therefore, we believe that this is would be a big step up if you could have a free trade agreement between European Union and India.
One comment from my side. From my point of view, agriculture is the most problematic area of negotiations. And this has a reason, of course. In Germany, for example, only 2% of people are working in agriculture, in the sector of agriculture. In India, it's something around 60, and in some regions it's 80. So you see that you can't compare the two agricultural systems. If you would open the markets completely, as that is the sense for free trade agreements, open market access from both sides, the disruption for the Indian market would be tremendous. So of course there's a reason for negotiations, but maybe we find a shortcut that is not in line in what the EU is doing normally. Normally means the past 20 years. So this free trade agreement is negotiated over the past 20 years. There are rumors that now we could reach an end, but I guess these rumors had been there also 10 years ago. I launched or presented a paper 2 days ago where I suggested that from the European side, the attempt to always have comprehensive agreements, so putting everything in it, agriculture, services, industries, cultural goods, is maybe not fitting to the time we are living in. So I guess it would be faster and smoother, and from a practical point of view, the best idea to concentrate on, let's say, the industrial sector, industrial goods. And then we can discuss how large the sector is or how small we make it. But from my point of view, it's better to make the first steps, even if these are small steps, than just stand where we are standing and not getting forward anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Habeck, you had your first talks today with your counterparts, your Indian counterparts. Did you address the very different perspectives on Russia and the Ukraine war in these talks? And if so, how did your counterparts react on the German view of this conflict? And Mr. Busch, are there any concerns from the German business sector regarding the Indian view on the Russian-Ukraine conflict? Thanks.
I did, as we have done so many times before. So India knows exactly where we are standing, and we know exactly where India is standing. If I may repeat the answer India is giving to me when I address the question of sanctions and circumvention of sanctions against Russia through India by buying cheap oil or bringing goods to Russia that could be used also for military purpose, they always answer, well, your Russia is our China. We have a conflict with China, an armed conflict. Now, I hope that this continues. Now there are signs of release and maybe peace. This is what I hope for both countries, China and India. But you are doing trade with China all the time, and you have a conflict with Russia, and you are asking us not to do trade with Russia. This is, of course, not my perspective, but this is the answer I get from India. My perspective is that the war from Russia on Ukraine is a war against democracy. So I think we should unite against this attempt. But you ask me what are my partners answering. This is kind of the answer I get to hear then.
Well, from our perspective, we are following the political guideline or framework, so that's really a clear separation of the topics. We are doing business with the private sector, also with the public sector, in many cases with the former ones, and therefore, if there are any kind of limitations or restrictions coming from the political side, we would of course follow, and so far we don't see that.
Christian Kerner from Initiative Reuters, one question.
1.5.
One and a half.
Okay, dann erlaube ich mir auf Deutsch eine Frage zum aktuellen Thema zu stellen. Wolfspeed investiert nicht wie geplant zusätzlich im Saarland. Können Sie sagen, Herr Habeck, wie Sie diese Entscheidung sehen und wie viel Geld dadurch frei wird und wie man das nutzen kann? Eine Frage.
Ja, es waren große Hoffnungen damit im Saarland verbunden. Eine Region, die ja stark im Wandel von fossilen Energieerzeugungen hin zu neuer Technologie ist. Die ausgelobte Summe, wenn ich es richtig erinnere, war über 2 Milliarden Euro, die jetzt nicht abfließen wird, wenn die Wolfspeed-Entscheidung denn so steht. Und trotzdem ist das jetzt nicht, worüber ich mich freue und sage, guck mal, da haben wir 2 Milliarden gespart, sondern wo ich finde, dass aus doppelten Gründen, doppelter Hinsicht diese Entwicklung schlecht ist oder bedauerlich ist. Einmal, ich habe es schon gesagt, das Saarland, die Region braucht solche technologischen Schwergewichte für eine wirtschaftliche Stabilität in der Region. Und zweitens brauchen wir eine eigene Souveränität bei der Produktion von Halbleitern. Wir sind in Deutschland und in Europa, das ist einer der Punkte, die ich meinte, nahezu komplett abhängig von der Produktion aus dem südostasiatischen Raum. Das ist so lange kein Problem, wie wir uns immer darauf verlassen können, dass aus diesem Raum kontinuierlich Mikrochips nach Europa, nach Deutschland gebracht werden. Sollte allerdings da mal die Kette reißen oder sich auch nur für einen gewissen Zeitpunkt verzögern, sitzen wir in einer gefährlichen Abhängigkeit. Deswegen, das ist ja der Grund für die Halbleiterstrategie der Europäischen Union, die wir dort für Deutschland umgesetzt haben, wie andere Länder auch. Deswegen ist es doppelt bedauerlich, dass diese Entscheidung so gefällt wurde.
So back to English, Mr. Akagawa from Nikkei.
Hello, Shogo Akagawa from Japanese Nikkei. So one question to Mr. Habeck and one question to Mr. Bush. Mr. Habeck, you repeatedly mentioned about the Abhängigkeit, dependency on Chinese economy. And why are you intending to hold this commitment despite your country have not good shape of macroeconomic development? It's not clever to wait and see until the recession is over. It's kind of de-risking. This is a question for Mr. Habeck, and one question to Bush is de-risking is G7 commitment, and the German government are intending to hold this. But a lot of German company has already invested a huge amount in Chinese continent. From German company perspective, is de-risking realistic strategy? Thank you very much.
So if you look at the German economic situation, you should divide between three different challenges. First was the crisis after the loss of Russian gas. High energy prices, we had to buy it on the market for skyrocketing prices, high production prices, high inflation, high interest rates to bring inflation down. That was, I now use past tense, it's not over, but it's now, we see light at the end of the tunnel. That was the main discussion in the past 2 years. Then there's a structural problem in some major economies in Europe, but definitely also in Germany, a lack of investments over the past 10 or 15 years in infrastructure, but especially in innovation. And then there's a third challenge that is directly leading to your question and to the APK and this very important role the APK now in this, actually in this year, this month, has. The globalization, as we looked at it, is changing. It's not over, of course, but it's changing. And we see it also in our relationship with China. There was a saying coming from the German BDI, the Chamber for Industries, that our relationship with China is partnership, it's competition, and it's rivalry. And the last, I think, is becoming more dominant, meaning that products from China are coming to our markets very aggressively. We have seen it with solar panels. Now we see signs that the same could happen with wind industry, for example. And on the other hand, very strict laws and regulations on the Chinese market that make it more difficult for European and German companies to act freely on the market. So therefore, it is wise not to wait until we have gained power again in our own economy, but to gain this power by diversification also with other areas, especially in the South Pacific.
So the next question is,
there was one question.
Just a short answer to your second question. I don't see this de-risking so polarizing. For me, it's not either or, it's and. And you have two perspectives. Number one is the access to a market, whereas in some cases, for some companies, the dependency is a little bit one-sided, and they are better looking also for other markets without leaving the Chinese market. It's still the largest industrial market in the world. 30% of their global GDP comes from industrial global GDP comes from China. So it's not an option to give up. And the market will still grow, maybe not the high growth rates, but still substantial growth rates anymore. So, and the other one is supply chain, and I know that most of the companies I'm talking to, they are looking into their supply chain, where they have kind of an over-optimized way, sometimes sourcing from China, they're looking for alternatives. So therefore, for me, it's de-risking is an and not an or.
Okay. Johannes Arno from ZDF. I will ask in German for our German audience. So, die Bundesregierung hat gerade ihre Indien-Strategie vorgestellt. Darin wird Indien als strategischer Partner betrachtet. in mehreren Bereichen, wirtschaftlich, aber auch sicherheitspolitisch. Können Sie vielleicht mal ganz kurz sagen, was die wichtigsten, aus wirtschaftspolitischer Sicht, die wichtigsten strategischen Ziele in der Zusammenarbeit sind und welche Rolle spielt dabei möglicherweise der U-Boot-Deal, der gerade eingefädelt wird?
Deutschland und Indien schauen, wenn auch von unterschiedlichen Voraussetzungen, sehr ähnlich, ich würde fast sagen gleich, auf die Bedingungen für Handelspolitik und auch für Wirtschaft. Beide bestehen darauf und arbeiten darauf hin, dass es Level Playing Fields gibt. Beide wollen gute Partnerschaften mit ihren Nachbarn haben. Beide versuchen, die Kontakte auch in schwierige Regionen hinein aufrecht zu erhalten. Insofern gibt es in der Tat eine strategische Parallelität, wenn auch, das darf man nicht vergessen, von unterschiedlichen Standpunkten aus startend. Also Deutschland als jetzt ja schon über längeren Zeitraum sehr reiches Land, eine hochentwickelte Ökonomie, Indien als sehr schnell wachsender Markt, Deutschland eingebunden in den großen europäischen Binnenmarkt, Indien in einer komplizierten ostasiatischen Region, wo politische Spannungen immer wieder da sind. Aber der Ausgangspunkt, die politischen Guidelines sind sehr, sehr parallel. Und deswegen macht es Sinn, in dieser sich so schnell ändernden Welt, wo vertraute Partnerländer sich inzwischen als manchmal schwierig erweisen, und wo dennoch darauf bestanden werden muss, dass wir an offenen Märkten arbeiten und die Stärken der jeweiligen Volkswirtschaften miteinander kombinieren, die Partnerschaften zu vertiefen. Und das ist der Grund, warum wir Indien ein besonderes Interesse zugedeihen lassen. Es gab ja verschiedene Regierungskonsultationen, es gab sehr viele Reisen von verschiedenen Ministern, auch von mir nach Indien und Gegenbesuche von der indischen Seite. Also an den Herausforderungen wird gearbeitet. Die Frage von Rüstungsexporten ist für mich völlig abgekoppelt von dieser strategischen Frage, wie man zusammenarbeitet. Aber es gibt einen indirekten Konnex. Indien hat in der Vergangenheit im Grunde seine kompletten militärischen Güter aus Russland bezogen. Und das will es nicht mehr. Natürlich gibt es da jetzt eine Verbindung, aber sie soll von indischer Seite schwächer werden. Und da Indien nun nicht in einer ganz friedlichen Region lebt, braucht es Waffen zur Selbstverteidigung inklusive U-Booten. Und wenn wir nicht wollen, dass Russland die immer nur beliefert und diese Abhängigkeit immer größer wird oder das Verhältnis zwischen den beiden permanent gestärkt wird, da muss man entsprechend auch agieren.
Hi Minister, I'm Aditya from TV9 Network. My question is, how important is India to help Germany's economy springing back to growth, especially in the context of skilled workforce from India being offered to take jobs in Germany? And which are the key sectors where you see German investments coming into India, especially in the context of the China Plus One strategy? And in the talks, did India raise any concerns on the carbon tax? Thank you very much.
Funny words you have here in New Delhi. Well, I would say from a trade perspective, India is very, very important, promising, so to say, for the future. For the question how Germany is growing again, Germany's economy is growing again, I think we have to do our homework on our own soil and do what has been done. This includes that we have to increase our workforce in Germany. We are an aging society. India is a growing society. Therefore, we can combine both challenges, I would say, and that could be part of an answer. If it helps India to bring people into work, maybe gaining experience, they are more than welcome to come to Germany. There's many Indian people are learning German. A lot of Germans speak okay English, so the language barrier should not be there. Actually, India is the first country that get a digitalized visa, visa system. So that should go fast, really fast now. So it's an invitation to come to Germany. We would benefit from it, but we don't want to steal your talents. So the hope is that also India is benefiting from bringing people to Germany if they work there for, let's say, some years, 8, 10, 12 years, and come back with the knowledge they have learned in Germany, both countries, both economies would benefit. So from this point of view, that is a promising perspective. And my colleague Hubertus Heil is working on this perspective to make it concrete and make it happen every hour, I guess. But concerning CBAM, I mean, the reason is obvious. Europe has made the decision to become climate neutral until 2050. Change is underway. We produce our electricity by renewable energy. We are investing heavily in green hydrogen to produce, for example, steel green, and therefore we have to protect the market from leakage. India now has developed a CO2 taxation system similar to the European one. And that is where the discussion stands. I discussed it with my colleague, the Minister of Power, today. If both systems are comparable, or maybe could answer the CBAM, carbon border adjustment question, by creating the same system. This is my hope, that the taxation system in India is accepted by the European Union, and if not, it is calibrated that it can be accepted, that we create some green market rules that are fitting both for Europe and for India. This is on the way. The next Commissioner for Trade, Maros Šefčovič, will definitely work on it, but I also took some notes today to discuss it with the European Commission when I'm back home.
So thank you very much for your interest and have a nice evening.
See you tomorrow on the stage. That'll be fun. Okay. Very good.